It's time for Veterans Issues, the show that brings you information about veterans, military, and their family. Now here's your host, Ken Rollins.
Welcome into Veterans Issues. Ken Rollins here, and we are brought to you by the Red, White, and Blue. Today's guest is a return guest. Been on here quite a few times. He always got good information, and not just for here, but throughout the area that we cover. And his name is Bill Partridge. He's the Chief of Police for the City of Oxford, and we'll be right back with some good information. Stay right there. Welcome back to Veterans Issues. Today's guest is Bill Partridge. He's the Chief of Police of the City of Oxford. And there's a lot of things happening in the city that we've talked about what's going to happen and have already happened, and we'll bring you up to speed on that. The connection we have with the veterans is that a lot of the veterans coming out, you got 3 or 4 choices that you're going to do for employment, and one of them is law enforcement, fire service, and health care, things like that. And so I want you to get enthused about looking at law enforcement as a career. Welcome back to the show, Bill.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate you having me again.
Good to see you. And when you were on here a year or so ago, I think it was like a few months after the what was the place of the school kid?
Sandy Hook.
There was you implemented some things in the school with the school program with the officers there and things like it. We talked about a device, and can I
Oh, sure.
I don't want to push this button, but I'm gonna be like Vanna White. I'm gonna hold it up here where the camera one, where you can see the device has got a lanyard, and this is for the teachers in the Oxford school system now. Bill's gonna tell you more about that. It's got a button you push on there. I have one of these to help you. I've fallen and you can't get up thing. Bill, tell me about that. And I got some people in the booth up there laughing about help I've fallen.
Well, Ken, what we did after Sandy Hook is we created a small group of individuals through the school system and the police department to focus on safety of our schools. As you know as well as I do, our most important asset rides those yellow school buses every morning. They're sitting in classrooms. And you have the signs on the front of the building that says no guns allowed, but as well as I do, signs don't prevent anything. So we sat back and we tried to figure out ways that we could make our school system safer. And I believe we're on track to probably have one of the safest school systems in the country when we're through. Of course, we implemented police officers in each of our schools 2 years ago, right after that, a few months after that. And we were looking at other devices and technology that could keep our children safe. And one of the things that we thought about is if we could get an instant response to an intruder inside the school, and how would you go about doing that? And we looked at several pieces of technology, but these little things right here that the teachers and administrators can wear around their neck, and the minute they push the button, it sends an emergency alert to the police officer's radio in the school that tells them that there's trouble in room whatever the teacher's in.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. Yeah.
This encompasses the entire campus of the school. We're doing a pilot program at Durhamville Elementary. The entire campus is covered. They can be anywhere on the campus if an intruder or if they have a problem where someone comes up that they don't know. But this is just an added layer of safety for the teachers out there. It also, not only does it send a radio message that tells them there's an emergency in room 103 or whatever room the teacher's in, it also sends a verbal message through that radio and on text message on certain phones throughout the city and the district. Like the superintendent would get a text message, I get a text message, different officers get text messages, the department. That way we know immediately when that device is pushed that there's a problem. So like I said, we're doing the pilot program at Durhamville. We're going to test these, see how well they work, and if they work the way we anticipate them working, they'll be in all 6 schools by this time next year.
The one thing I heard out of that as a layperson is Ms. Jones presses a button out in the schoolyard or in the auditorium, and you dispatch to the Durhamville School, which is a pretty nice sized school. Instead of what room is it in, where is it located. You're going directly to that school, to where the call came from.
Well, the main thing is we're saving time.
That's what I'm talking.
Before, if you had an intruder go into a school, the teacher had to get to a telephone. They dial 911. That takes time. They take the information. That takes time. They route that information to the local law enforcement agency. That takes time. Now we have an armed police officer on the campus every day. When this is pressed, he is the first responder. He knows immediately when this button's pressed, there's a problem in this room. He goes to that room. While he's en route to that room, additional units are en route to that location also.
And going to the place of the problem as opposed to him.
We're shaving 5 to 8 minutes off of a response. And we taught all the teachers and administrators throughout the school system right after Sandy Hook the response to active shooters. And as most people know about active shooters, it's over within 5 minutes.
Well, I know a lot of the folks that are teachers in the school system, and not just in Oxford, but how does a teacher focus on teaching students when if a ladder, where the maintenance man drops a ladder or a hammer, that everybody's got to be startled and wondering if we're safe to finish this sentence I was talking about. How does the students that have seen, they know things going on, they watch television.
Yeah.
How do they learn if they are worried about it? So this is giving confidence. First of all, the officers you put in there have become buddies and teachers.
Well, that's going to pay dividends not only for the school system, it's going to pay dividends for the community and law enforcement in general. Because as these kids grow up, they realize that law enforcement officers are not the bad guy, okay? And that they're friends and that's somebody they can come to. It's already paying dividends. We have officers who are out on lunch break and they'll see a kid in the restaurant that goes to that school, and they'll immediately run over and hug them and tell them, oh, you're on duty or whatever, and have a conversation. They realize that we're not in that adversary role, that we're actually here to help. And as far as community relations, you couldn't ask for a better program.
Yeah, that's a great thing. I see so many things on Facebook about law enforcement, the things that the acts of kindness they do and this kind of thing, but occasionally I see some of your officers posting little things with the kids, got to go to Miss So-and-so's class and do this, and that is, you can feel it by reading the message that these guys and girls that are in your law enforcement are getting the right thing out of it. Like I said, it's a win-win, the teachers, the students, and the officers, and it pay dividends later on as they grow up and say, hey, these guys, remember, you better watch out, I'm going to call the police on you, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
They try to knock that down and beat it down, because when I was growing up, that's what they're going to do. We're going to have, they have you put in reform school.
Yeah, but it's going to help.
Well, that's just one piece of technology that you've came about. Let me ask you this before we go. We got less than a minute on this one. Is this going to be funded by Oxford? Do you have grants? And is it?
No, there are no grants at this time for it. And I have to give kudos to the city school board and the superintendent, Dr. Goodwin. Right. They've been extremely receptive on any type of security related procedures. They've gone in and they've redone locks, they've redone security systems, camera systems, they've added a lot of cameras, but they've been extremely supportive. They understand the need for this, and if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to do it.
Good man, Jeff Goodwin. And he realizes that he's got an awesome responsibility there to take care of things. We got to go to a break, come back. We're going to talk more with the chief. We've got some more technology that Oxford's come up with that's really exciting and just made national news. Come back here in a minute. Welcome back to Veterans Issues. Ken Rollins, and we're talking with Bill Partridge, the Chief of Police of the City of Oxford. And we were talking about the school safety equipment that they're coming up with. And again, we want to make sure that we give credit to Dr. Goodwin. He has done awesome things for the city of Oxford at school system, and this is just another thing of the support he gives to making sure the students can learn in a safe environment, and that's what it's all about. Now, Chief, when we left, was talking about that device, the help I fallen, I can't get up devices, alert for the teachers, can alert the law enforcement and others. There's something I saw in the paper and on Facebook and other places about nationwide this DNA program that you've got for the Oxford Police Department. And before you started that, I'm thinking back about a few years back, and I don't know how many more. A big deal about, I think you may have been a coroner at the time when the system that was at Fort McClellan left and moved out more. You know what I'm talking about. I don't, but I remember there was a big thing about trying to get a DNA turnaround. Got years, year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah. Right now it takes forensics anywhere from 90 days to a year and a half for us to get a sample back with a hit. If we have, and of course you've got to have a suspect, and you've got to have a DNA sample from the scene. This new rapid DNA technology is basically, it's about the size of an old microwave system, and instead of having a huge DNA lab, it's all done in-house in this rapid hit DNA system. And what it will allow us to do, and the easiest way I know to explain it is, if your house is broken into and the suspect leaves touch DNA, blood DNA, or any type of DNA evidence that we can collect at the house, and we develop a suspect a few days later, and we get a search warrant and we get the DNA sample from the suspect, we can eliminate, or we'll know for sure this individual did it within 2 hours of the time we start the test. So you can imagine the time, just say forensics takes 3 months to get this sample back to us, and we know that we have a burglary suspect or a B&E suspect or a robbery suspect or a murder suspect, that we have developed them as being a suspect. Imagine the crimes that they could commit in that 3 months or that 18 months not being incarcerated, that we can cut down on that time that it takes to put those individuals behind bars. This technology, I think, is going to really, really evolve over the next several years to the point that you'll have probably the size of that CD player right there. But right now, we're testing it. It's doing really well. This is the type of technology that will help law enforcement, not only for us. Now, we've partnered with JSU's Applied Forensics Department up there, and we've been doing a lot of this different technology testing. You know, we did the True Narc instrument where we can instantly check narcotics on the side of the road. That has eliminated the testing of narcotics backlog that we had here in the county and through the DA's office of prosecuting people having to wait 1, 2, 3 years to go to court on a drug charge. Now we can instantly tell you what that drug is, and they can go to court immediately if need be, and you don't have that backlog and that delay. So these are the type of things that we're trying to do to get the criminals behind bars and hopefully keep them there.
Are they going to help out on the cost?
Well, they do help out a lot. They help out with, as far as they assist all of the agencies in our region with crime scene investigation and that type of thing. We'll be paying for the instrument. We paid for the True Narc instrument through our budget, and also if we end up getting the DNA system that we want to get there the first of the year, then of course we absorb that cost. And we've got a lot of other technology this next 12 to 15 months that we'll be implementing that I believe that will make us a cutting edge as far as the latest technology.
Let me ask you
out
something
there.
about that. When I read the article, again, going back to your days when you're the coroner, you find the remains and they don't know who they are. Is that going to be helpful in what
It can be helpful for that also. We can take the DNA from the deceased, DNA from a possible family member, and tell you if that's the individual.
Because if a mother's looking at their daughter and they say they can't identify the remain, but that would give them they use that word closure. I don't think there is such a thing.
And we're not just using that here. We're going to reach out to everybody in the region, all law enforcement agencies that want to use this technology. Then we will be the place that they can come to use the technology.
That was my next question. Would the other local and county, at the cities and counties, be able to?
I have had 6 agencies come through the police department since Friday, looking at the new technology, absorbing what it does, and we're really excited about.
Well, the reason I asked about the cost sharing is you've got to have, if somebody needs some DNA checks for verification, a human has to put that in there, and it takes, that's an assigning one of your people do that. There's a cost associated.
Well, it'll be in our crime lab, and like I said, it'll be between us and JSU's Applied Sciences. Those scientists there, they will also help. So, you know, I think we need to work together. Law enforcement, all levels of law enforcement, whether it be city, state, county, feds, we all need to work together. We're all working for the same common goal. We want to put the criminal behind bars.
Well, it's kind of, to me, again, as a layperson, if somebody's doing bad stuff in Oxford, that's not to say they're not going to go to Anniston or out in the county.
All of our agencies deal with the same individuals.
Yeah.
We deal with the same individuals, Piedmont or Talladega or
You mean they don't
Anniston.
get the zip code and stop?
They don't get those zip codes. They jump around just like,
Yeah.
everybody else.
Yeah, I can see the postings they have, the ones that you post on the weekly thing. They come from everywhere, and you can see Oxford people caught in Anniston, and Anniston caught in Oxford, and a bunch of them from the county caught in Oxford, and so on. So it's now let's go back to something that I know we're going to run out of time. I'm probably going to have to run over here a little bit, but some things I wanted to. The police have taken a hit since in the last few months. And we talked a little bit about teaching our kids to respect police and not just be afraid of them. Also, painting the police as a bad guy and the bad girls. That is a everyday effort on your part, your police department, to redo an image that was damaged by somebody else.
Yeah, that's one of the things that really irritate me is that 99.9% of all law enforcement officers are good people.
Yeah.
You're always going to have that one who makes everybody look bad. And we have to do on a daily basis work and strive to make sure that we put that positive image out there, that we are there to help and not focus on the bad ones. We need to weed the bad ones out and get rid of them.
Yeah. And after the incident we're talking about in Missouri, there was a huge attacks, verbal and other thing on police. Just like after Sandy Hook, it was get rid of all the guns and this kind of thing, the knee jerk we have. And then this one that came out of there, but one thing that bothered me, they're talking about the militarization. I've seen some of the items that you've got from the robots to whatever down at your department. Thank God, that you don't have to send an officer through that door.
Well, you also have to look at it with a filter and say the liberal news media want to create a story, okay? And I saw all the pictures and I saw all the video from Ferguson. There was no military equipment used. Everything that they were using that was on TV, that was on camera, in the pictures that I saw were all commercially grade, commercially bought law enforcement gear. I mean, you're not going to stand a line of 12 officers out there and allow them to throw Molotov cocktails at them or rocks or bricks without protective gear on. Now, in that said, law enforcement needs to use common sense when they apply these type of tactics.
Yeah, I saw the 113 that the Sheriff's Department has used when Justin Sola Hub, and I saw it the other day. We got to go to a break. Instead of going over to the news, I'm going to keep you over because I got to cover some other things. We're going to go to a break. Come back. We're going to talk more with the chief about stuff that you need to know about. Be right back. Welcome back into Veterans Issues, and we're talking with Chief Partridge, Oxford Police Department. And instead of going to the news you can use this week, we're going to go over, because I got some things I want to cover. The law enforcement tag that I talk about here every week, if you bring it up, the tag is up there, you can see that. Now that tag goes with every color of a vehicle you can think of. It's got the shield up there that's representative of the fallen in line of duty law enforcement person. And that tag is for sale at your tag office all over the state of Alabama. If you, the proceeds from that go to building the law enforcement memorial in Anniston, as well as a portion goes to Washington, D.C. But I'm seeing more and more of these tags, and I want you to think about that when it's time to renew your tag, because it makes a statement. It makes a statement about you. And now we're back to Chief. Would you agree that when you see that tag on the car, it makes you feel good because you designed it?
Absolutely.
But also, it says those people. I told you about the lady I stopped the other day. I flagged her down. I asked her why she had the tag. She's a nurse, and it made me feel so good because she wasn't law enforcement. She didn't have to have a connection.
No,
she supported law enforcement.
She could have bought any tag, but she chose that one.
Now, I want to mention that you're on the board of the Chehaw Regional Humane Society, and I talk about them a lot. That organization is doing phenomenal work. Would you agree?
They are. They most certainly are. It's made a complete turnaround. The people that they have out there truly care about the animals. and they're saving lots of animals, and the facility is turned around. They're doing wonderful things out there. I can't say enough good things about it.
I agree. That is, and one of the things I noticed going to Montgomery last Friday, divided highways, school buses. There are people out there that think if they're coming on this side of the divided highway and the bus is on this side, they don't have to stop. Do you see a lot of that?
We've not had a real problem with that here.
I know, but you know what I'm talking
but
about.
I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, people you got to remember that.
The main thing is they need to focus on driving and not having that phone up to their head or texting and driving. Pay attention to what's coming toward them.
You would love what I saw that day. I was riding the bus over at the VA hospital. They transported from one place to the other, and I was looking out the back window, and the guy was on his phone just a yakking, and he was in the right lane behind us, and he came right up on a stopped truck that was unloading stuff there in downtown Birmingham. He went all over the place. I saw his white phone go that way, and I thought, yes. You know, luckily he didn't eat the back of the truck with the driver standing out there. In the city of Oxford, at exit 185, they're building the recreation center out there. There's going to be a lot of changes here in the next few weeks and months. The traffic, that road is going to be widened, as I understand it.
That's correct.
Leon Smith Parkway, where the double bridges are.
Yes.
And it'll be widened coming back south for a turn lane, and it'll be a traffic light place there where you can go in and out of the ballpark.
All of that's underway.
So be prepared. It might even happen during the shopping days of Christmas.
Well, it's supposed to. I think supposed to get started in the fall, late fall. As far as I know, it's still on time, but yes, that will be widened and you'll have better access in and out of there.
But during the time, you're going to better be prepared to slow down.
You need to be prepared to slow down and pay attention to what's going on.
So that is it's a great deal in there, having all those stores and all that stuff, but it's also congested. Thank goodness, that helps the community. But when we start that construction, it's really going to get rough. We gotta go. I appreciate you staying over and doing this extra, but I want everybody out there to know it. Oxford Police Department is in good hands, doing good stuff. All those officers out there, and this week's salute goes to all of you that are in law enforcement, no matter if it's Oxford or wherever. This is for you. We'll see you next week here on Veterans Issues. Salute.